What's up?
Oh, hey.
Oh, hey. We're back with another episode. Welcome to the Danna-Gift show. I have with me Andie White. What's up?
Hey. How's it going? Super happy to be on your show.
Thanks for being on it. So our viewers know, can you tell them what is it that you do?
Right now, I am the owner and sole operator of Versatile Operations. So I am working with businesses to scale their businesses to from 6 to 7 or 8 figures and make sure that their operational processes are in line for their businesses to be more profitable. So
Wow.
I started scaling a few years ago, but it was a different industry, a political industry. So I took,
wow.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it was a funny transition, but that industry taught me a lot about being in operations. So I was actually a COO straight out of college for a operational field firm in the political industry. So
Holy crap. So wait, first of all, your elevator pitch, fucking solid. Every time anybody asks like what I do, I'm like, I record videos. They're like, oh, OnlyFans? I'm like, no.
Oh, God, no.
I'm like, not those kind of videos.
No.
So solid ass elevator
thank
pitch.
you.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, what am I saying?
Yeah. No, super solid.
Cool.
But I like, so because we're going to be talking about habits, organization, and all sorts of things. But you've been basically organized since...
for a long time.
Yeah, since a baby.
Yeah, for a long time. I started politics when I was, I think 16, so it's 2013, I think. So,
wow.
Yeah, I was like one of those little baby door knockers and...
No way. What is that like? I feel like I'm straying way off, but...
Yeah, it's really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, like door knocking's not for the weak.
No, I've definitely... So I did door knocking when I was a realtor.
Oh, man, yeah.
And that shit sucked.
Yeah,
it was
tough.
Not fun.
It's tough.
Fucking hot in Arizona.
Yeah, and
Did you do it here?
Oh yeah, and our best seasons are in the summer, right before election season. So it's it's been interesting. I think watching that blow up in Arizona, that industry has become so competitive. Almost very business-like instead of politics. Politics used to be more grassroots, like we're gonna go knock doors because we believe in this person. Now it's like we need to hire 100 people tomorrow. We get them paid, trained up, out.
Holy crap!
Yeah, and scaling up to like 500.
And then, okay, I always had a question about this. When you're in that industry, like, what happens after the election? Do they just let everyone go and then the job is done?
Oh, yeah.
So it's just it's a seasonal job, basically.
So politics is usually seasonal. So it's usually seasonal work. But I have always worked with consulting firms that were so good, they get year-round projects. So,
okay. So you stayed working, but other people typically would just go in and
so they keep all the C-suite people, they keep all the directors, and then we just let all the 1099s go.
Oh.
Yeah.
That would have been me. Like,
yeah.
Let him go. It's okay. I was never good at keeping a job anyway. Hence the podcast.
No, same. I feel like I switch around too. I feel like everyone kind of does.
Yeah.
You have to figure out what you like. And yeah, so I was in that industry for a long time and got super burnt out at the end of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always tell people everything is just really not what it seems. When it comes to that industry and just finding what you like in general, as far as career goes, because the best position I was ever in, making the most money I ever made, highly competitive. I was a workaholic, making a lot of money, but didn't have time to spend any of it. So absorbed in my work. Yeah.
So you're saving a lot.
yeah, saving a lot of money, just kind of like living barely and yeah, but it's like success comes at a price. And I burnt out a lot. For people who are looking for something that's more fulfilling and you're understanding that your current position is not working for you, that one is okay. And two, don't feel ashamed if like what looks like success is not actually your version of success.
100%.
Yeah.
Like there's people who are creatives. Like for myself, I'm more of a creative, right? But I do have like business acumen. So, but the part of me fought so hard that I felt like the only thing that I was ever going to see success in was attached to monetary value and
Right.
the business world.
Right.
But that didn't feel successful for me, even when I was a real estate agent making, over 6 figures. It's like that didn't feel like success to me because I, one, didn't necessarily love it. I mean, I enjoyed looking at the houses, but dealing with all the people and stuff, it was very difficult. But then too, it's like I wasn't in the field that I enjoyed. So it felt like I was unsuccessful even though I was making 6 figures.
Yeah, that's what's so crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone's like, oh, this is the dream. And it was like, okay, I did all the things right. I went to college, got good grades in college. I was pre-law. Obviously, I'm not a lawyer, but, I was just on that, like, success train. It was the only thing that mattered to me. It was also, at the time, the majority of my value was holding in work. And so it's like, I made it. It was just like, I made it. I'm super successful. I have the job that I wanted to have. I have, like, all this, like, work power, you know? And, like, in a male field, by the way. So it's like, everyone's, like, asking me for decisions, and it just was like, okay, cool. I made it. And I was a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. And this would definitely send me off into a complete tangent of masculine energy and feminine
and we're probably going to get there. I already know it's coming.
Yeah, oh yeah. That's definitely a hot topic right now that is, like, it's something that I'm currently dealing with, so we'll definitely get there.
Yeah.
I want to veer us back into the topic of habits and organization and all of that, because I feel like nowadays with how much information overload and how many different things we can use to track our habits and follow through with something, it's fucked up. It's really hard to stay focused, It's like you're trying to focus, but you have all these different tools to optimize, and it's just, I don't know. So is there like, I don't even know, is there like a good recipe or something on starting to get organized?
Totally. So for me, my nervous system was deregulated since birth. Like, I was totally born into just chaos, to be honest. And
you're like born on the backseat of a car on the way to
not exactly, but
not that chaotic.
It kind of seems like it. I think it's a good metaphor, you know? Like, the car's already running, and like I just was there. So
you were just raced into it.
Yeah. So, and I can go a little bit deeper into that, but I think just to answer your question of how did I figure that out? So just one, I had to have serious ownership and self-awareness. So I really pride myself on being a self-aware person, but it's like, even being a self-aware person, I really wasn't understanding why my highs were so high and my lows were so low, and my habits could never really give me peace because my baseline was your nervous system is broken, so everything is a big deal. And
like if one thing like went off from your plan, would that like throw you off into a tangent?
Like, I was a super emotional person a few years ago, and I still have like a lot of emotion to me, but I think I used to just I would fly off the handle like very easily, and I think I was super angry too, and just not even being aware of, hey, that's actually not a good baseline. Self-awareness is number one. Like, really look at your life and think, okay, well, this isn't working, right? You have to actually retrain your conscious and your subconscious mind to fix your habits. A lot of times you're running on your subconscious mind, which is just using the information that you've had
since you were a baby.
Yeah,
it's the programming that we've learned. It's just how we've navigated our world up until now.
Right. Yeah. So when your subconscious mind is running your life, you're just using all of your survival tactics and things that you've used from a child. Your teens and your early adult life, and you're like using that information to move through life, and nothing new is being introduced. So your habit stacking is just based on old habits that probably aren't serving you. So you have to actually go out of your way to be super uncomfortable. And what I realized is, okay, I have a lot of highs and lows. My highs are really high, so that's cool, right? Having high highs is great. How can I make my lows a little less low?
Don't bring yourself down all the way.
It's like when things go wrong, like, how can I make sure I don't spiral out of control and I'm not having a total breakdown? So
it's tough. It's hard if all you know is the baseline of, I don't know. I'm trying to think of different examples of, you know, bringing yourself back down to your bad habits or the baseline. And I think of things like, you know, resorting to porn for a quick dopamine hit, or, you know, scrolling on Instagram to again, get that dopamine hit or something. I feel like I do that a lot, actually, when I'm, well, not so much anymore, but I definitely did whenever I was feeling low. It's like I go straight back into those things that I know are going to get me a kick that can help bring me up, but then I never feel good after it. It's like eating a cheat meal when you know your goal is to have this super fucking fit body. Yeah. But then you just ate like 5 burgers. And wait a minute. Like, that felt good while I was eating it. But then after, I'm like, I don't know what I did.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, having that short-term gratification, it makes you feel better for a second. And the human body is, you know, we want to be comforted. We don't want to feel uncomfortable. Like, the human body's not wired for happiness or being, like, it's wired to withstand uncomfortability, but we don't seek it. So,
because we're, what do they say, creatures of habit, or we're comfort creatures. Creatures of comfort.
Both, honestly. Honestly, yes.
Yes to all of that.
So we definitely seek our comfort default habits, right? So it's like when you're having a bad day, you're like, oh, I know this will make me feel better, right? Scrolling on Instagram will take my mind off of things. It'll distract me, right? So you get that dopamine hit. Or thinking of like any other bad habits, like alcohol. Like, a lot of people turn to like vices.
That was definitely mine for the longest time, just alcohol. Alcohol. Which is crazy, because there's no way you're going to achieve awareness and consciousness if you're fucking poisoning your body with alcohol. Like, it's so counterproductive.
Well, it's like no one shows us how to deal with our pain, really, unless you are seeking help, or you had a mentor growing up, or you've seen a therapist. It's like, no, not even in school. It's like they're not teaching people how to deal with their pain. So it's like we're only human. And a lot of people, they find something that works and they're like, okay, well, I feel better when I drink, so let's just keep doing that. And then your neural pathways are wired. When I have a bad day, I go drink, right? And you're like, that's my Band-Aid. Yeah. And so I didn't have, I actually made like a hard mental deal with myself. Like, I am not using vices to deal with my pain. I tried it one time and it was really bad. Yeah. And that was early on.
Do you stick to that very... like 100%?
100%.
Wow.
Yeah. Sober pain is like my only way to deal with it. Because it is funny because it was one moment where I was like, well, everyone else is drinking to deal with their pain. Like, I'm going to try. And it was a disaster. It was like heightened disaster. And I was like, oh my God. And I was so sad. And I was like, I'm just going to drink. Because everyone's telling me, like, just have a drink. Like, just let's go out. Let's, get totally plastered. And forget about it. Right? It's like,
no, you gotta face the storm head on.
Yeah. And so, like, I did that, and I was like, I woke up and I was like, this didn't work. I was just like, it doesn't work. And then I was like, it probably doesn't work for other people either, and I never did it again.
Wow. So that's a lot of resolve, though. I feel like a lot of people can't do that. So for the people who are not as, I guess, aware or able to control their impulses, is there like an easier way that we can attack that, or like not default into that?
Yeah, honestly, it's practice.
It's just practice.
It's practice. Like, it's consistency. Like, if you don't have that built-in mental toughness, like for me, I think I had been through so many things in my life that were so much harder. It's like not responding to my urges is easy. So
yeah, sometimes you actually, the only way to really catapult you in the other direction is if you deal with something really, really hard.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm definitely not perfect. Like, I've definitely been in positions where I'm like, oh, okay, I'm just going to give in, and you feel like you have control over a situation, and you don't. And I've learned that the hard way, too. It's like, okay, well, I know what's going on around me. I have that self-awareness to know I am, right now, in this moment, giving into an urge, and that's fine. But it always ends in disaster, because when you give in to your urges and you don't listen to your values... you get in trouble. Yeah.
I think that's really important. I feel like, at least for people who don't necessarily understand their own values or morals, I think even just writing it down or doing some research on things that you believe in, because I know some people are just like, I don't know, we just feel like this human experience is supposed to happen so naturally for us. And if we just live our lives without looking into things and learning about things, then we're just going to be hurting a lot, because we can't organize our emotions or feelings or anything if we don't have the fucking tools.
Right.
You know? But it's so much easier said than done, all of this.
Yeah, no, and like that's the thing is I always tell people you just need to practice. Like you actually need to seek out that uncomfortability and just go do it. A lot of people nowadays and I am also into this too, like attracting what you want in life and like manifestation, but like the real product of all that is, yeah, you need to write down what you want. You need to write down your values. You need to figure out like on paper what that looks like, but then you actually need to go do it. Like you can have as many vision boards and things like that and affirmations, which I use all of these things, but my main thing is you have to take action. You have to seek out that uncomfortability. You have to practice like what you're wanting to be. That's how you set things in motion. Like your intention needs to be in your action. So if you're struggling and you're doing things out of urge instead of values, like figure out what are your values, because that was something I had to figure out too. It's like, okay, well, I'm not happy with who I am right now.
What am I not happy about?
Yeah,
write that down.
Yeah, what am I not happy about, and like what do I want less of, what do I want more of in my life, and like having those two. And I used to draw this as like a Venn diagram actually.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, so it's like what do I want more of, what do I want less of.
That's so important that just having a physical tracker, whether it's a journal. I use ClickUp. ClickUp has fucking changed my life. Yeah. I mean, this isn't even a ClickUp promo,
Jamie.
But you know what?
Shout out Jamie.
I mean, honestly, Jamie's the one who introduced it to me.
Yeah, us too.
And ever since then, I'm like, my life is so much more organized, because I can't tell you how much freaking notebooks I have full of random notes. And I have no idea how to actually track any of my progress until ClickUp came into my life. But I mean, it doesn't have to be like that for anyone out there. You could find literally a journal. Totally. Just something that can show you like, okay, this is what needs to move the needle. Let me write this down and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, like scrap paper. Like I would often just rip things out of an old notebook and just go for it. Yeah. Put it on your wall. Like it doesn't have to be pretty. Have you seen people
who put those, they put fucking sticky notes all over their wall. It's like as wall decor. Yeah. I'm like, oh, that's tacky for me. Yeah. That's a little tacky for me.
I'm like, wow, it gives me anxiety just looking
at it. I know. I can't even imagine. If one of them falls off the wall too, I'd freak the fuck out. It's not organized anymore. So I would not be able. Sticky notes don't work for me, guys. I'm too messy for that.
That's so funny.
Not really, but yeah, just keeping a physical tracker of it to be able to actually track the progress and make it measurable. I feel like, so this is what I fucking do a lot. Okay. I bite off more than I can chew. Okay. That's my problem. Okay. I think I can do everything all in the span of 24 hours. Yeah. But we forget 8 hours of that is probably sleep. Yeah. And then we probably got to eat and use the bathroom and all that. So then I start overloading my stuff and I'm like, then I get upset that I didn't do the things that I wanted to do. Yeah. But it's because I bit off more than I can chew. So is there like, you should just start off small then. I feel.
Yeah, I think like if you can't see 10 feet in front of you, just take the first step.
Ooh, that's so good.
Yeah. And that's really just mind, like you have to actually just, it's not even mind over matter. It's actually like action over your mind. You need to just, when your mind is telling you, I'm feeling resistance towards this thing, and it makes you procrastinate. It's the resistance. So it's actually the emotional resistance about something else. Like it's not even about the task. It's not your inability to do the tasks or the multiple tasks or the time frame. It has nothing to do with that. It's like something is emotionally blocking you, and maybe it's like fear of failure, fear of success, fear of, okay, well, if I complete this task and it works, what next? Like there's something, not knowing, what I know about procrastination, it's like emotional resistance. It has nothing to do with your capability to actually complete the task. And you actually need to say to your brain, like, I am capable of completing this task and I'm gonna go do it right now. And you need to like 3, 2, 1, like Mel Robbins style, like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, like get out.
Yeah. Because if you sit in it too long, you'll just end up paralyzed. You won't do anything.
Exactly. And so when I'm feeling that resistance, I start moving. I'm like, no. And then it's like you're fighting your own brain. And it's weird. And
your brain can really be your own worst enemy.
And I think also this kind of, and this is where we are, here's the masculine versus feminine segment.
Let's do it.
Here we
Tag
go,
it in.
Tangent. I have been able to kind of play my masculinity into driving that for me. Femininity, if you're really like into your femininity as a woman and you lean mostly feminine, doing this might be really hard for you.
Yeah.
And also men too. I know men who make great decisions. You can tell they're coming from a masculine, like they're decisive AF, right?
Yeah, we like
masculine, right? And then there's men who can't make decisions, and I'm like, you're not there yet.
Yeah.
You're in your feminine a little bit, some like shadow. There's something there, right?
Yeah.
But speaking to women specifically, if you aren't good at taking action, you need to figure out ways to cultivate that masculine energy, because I already had it. Like, I was like hyper masculine, and
people are born, I mean, I definitely was too.
Yeah.
I mean, also just your upbringing and stuff, and how you've had to navigate life when you're a child and stuff.
Yeah, right.
But you know what though? I have a friend, well, guess not really like an acquaintance, I don't know. But basically she is super feminine, but her lifestyle in which like how she grew up, in my mind, she should have been more masculine, actually, because in order to survive the hardships that she did, I would assume that more masculine. But oddly enough, I think because it was so hard, and also depending on how you're genetically born with more testosterone or estrogen, it's like the way you handle things is going to be so different. So she like becomes so paralyzed when it comes to decision making, doesn't like speak up, and
that can be like the feminine shadow, right? Like you can't speak up, or like you're having hard like voicing your opinion or making decisions for yourself. I honestly, it's so funny because my younger sister, I would honestly pin her more feminine, right? Like she grew up super feminine. Recently she is like activated that masculine energy, and it's like I'm seeing her like in her power, and I'm like, go get him, because that's like your way of protecting yourself. And like for women, sometimes when you don't have that when you don't have a masculine protecting you, you protect yourself. And
I mean, what else are you gonna do? Just fall over and die? Like, you gotta fight back,
right? You gotta have that balance. So my sister definitely leaned more like feminine, and I grew up very masculine, right? So, but now I'm watching her able to make decisions, right? And she's like in her workout era, and I'm seeing her like she lifts like 300 pounds, like I'm like, oh, she's feeling that inner strength, right? And it's gonna balance out for her, right? But just understanding that your masculine is what's making decisions for you, and when you're looking to take action in your life, you need to activate that, and also be aware that what the masculine does is appropriate in certain sections of your life, right?
Yes.
So like for work, I'm like, come on in, buddy. Like, come on in.
We're welcome. We're welcoming you here.
We're welcoming the masculine to make decisions and to direct things and make moves in your business or whatever, get tasks done. And then your feminine is like your soft space and your space to feel safe. But I encourage people, men and women, if you are looking to make more clear, concise decisions and take action in your life, like figure out how to invigorate that masculine energy.
I think that has to do with just building up your confidence and like making promises to yourself that you keep. And then when you keep that builds up your confidence, that builds up your testosterone.
That's exactly what it does.
It's practice though, right?
Yeah,
it's small things.
It's seriously practice. Like if you're giving into your urges, you like can't take action, you're procrastinating, you really need to sit down, outline your goals, figure out how to execute those goals. And if it's baby steps, like take baby steps. Either you take no steps or you take baby steps. And I would rather do, I always say this, like I would rather do 10 push-ups instead of 0. You know what I mean? I would rather do 1 push-up instead of 0. So like just...
At least you don't fall off of your trail. If your goal is to do 10 push-ups a day and you do 1 a day, at least you're still on track. You know?
And
like
also,
sometimes you have to give yourself a little bit of slack.
Right. And like when you fall off, go at it again. Don't give up. Like, and that's where that masculine comes in. Like, fight for your life. Like, what do you want your life to look like? It's your life. You take ownership of it. The things that have happened to you in your life that have been done onto you, like, maybe that's not your responsibility, but your responsibility is to take that and, like, transform your pain and do things that are going to build the life that you want. And that is, like, looking at your habits. Like, your habits make you.
Very true.
And your bad habits make you, too. And your good habits make you. So it's, like... both things.
Very, very true. I think one thing I want to note too, for when it comes to building, good habits, one thing I've learned is to not overcomplicate.
Totally.
I think my problem, like, I'm in the process of simplifying everything, because if I look back at all this stuff, even when my ClickUp first started, it was like this shit everywhere.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, okay, get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of this, because there's just so much extra stuff that we overanalyze, we overcomplicate. And then again, you end up paralyzed, and you don't end up moving for that. For people who are trying to develop a new habit, stop trying to do 5 habits all at once.
Oh my gosh.
That's like you're setting yourself up. Okay. This is what I wanted to talk about. Okay. Speaking of developing like fucking 10 habits all at once.
Yeah.
75 hard.
Oh man, don't even get me started. I
need to hear your opinion.
Yeah, don't even get me started.
Everybody's doing it right now. I'm like watching everybody's feed. I'm like, okay, everybody's on 75 hard. Which, okay, I get it. If you really want to jumpstart and you're already accustomed to, following through with these habits, and you're already, a high performing individual, then 75 hard you can probably do and be okay. But if you're somebody new starting off into just developing good habits in general, 75 hard is a fucking setup for failure.
You couldn't pay me to do 75 hard.
Me neither.
I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah, me neither.
Couldn't pay me to do it because especially if you're new to making good habits, it's a lot of restriction and just telling yourself, well, if you don't do this, you're failing and you have to start over. I don't really think that's a good mental habit to
develop,
put into play.
Like horrible,
because that's part of 75 hard. It's like, okay, well, if you screw up on day 60, you have to start over. And I feel like
fuck that.
No, like
75 days again, you fell on day 60.
Yeah,
fuck that.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like I think like having a reward system is just, it's not gonna work, because your dopamine is responding to failure, and like it's too fragile. Like
you'll end up putting yourself in overdrive too. You'll be so tense that you won't follow through, because you're fucking like your brain will stimulate the fight or flight thing, and if you fail, you're like, oh well, now what?
right. It's not a good reward system. I think like you have a really long life, if you take care of yourself, like you have a really long life, right? You have a really long time to practice things that you want to permanently implement in your life. Like, why are we doing this in 75 days? Like, what is the rush, to be honest?
Yeah. And then the thing with 75 hard is, okay, maybe you completed it. Good for you.
Yeah.
But now you're fucking falling back into your old habits, and you haven't actually kept any of the habits that you were trying to develop. So I'm really confused at what the actual goal is, except maybe to look good on social media and say, hey, I did hard things. But it's like cool, I'm glad everybody does hard things.
Yeah.
But I don't agree with it. Yeah. It's not for me.
I would honestly say, if you're new to making good habits, if you need to jumpstart yourself into something like that, okay, cool. Like, I will always encourage people, like, do what you need to do to get it going. Cool. Yeah. But just understand that things that are impermanent, like 75 days of health,
or hell.
Yeah, or hell, right?
Whatever you want to call it.
Like, I don't really know. It might teach you some things you want to implement. Let's say, like, I don't really know everything that involves 75 hard, but let's say out of the 6 things they have you do, like, you like 2 of them, and you're like, I want to be like that for the rest of my life, right? So
like, reading, I think that's great.
Yeah. Like, the introduction to all these different variables that could stem really healthy habits, that's awesome. Yeah. Right? But to say that, if you don't complete all these things, you're not really going hard in life, and you aren't really prioritizing your health. Like, I don't know. Yeah. That's what I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know. When people brag about it, it kind of, for me, it's like, ugh. Like, I'm glad you did that, but also, why?
Yeah, I think if it's not for you, it's for other people, and living your life for other people sucks. So at the end of the day, like, outside validation, and I totally was on that train. Yeah. Like, I loved outside validation. So if that's really why they're doing it, and some people aren't. Some people are doing 75 hard because, like, they want to do that for them. But some people who are doing it just for the kickback, I guess, of everyone thinking they're cool or whatever it is. Like, yeah. I've definitely been in that train with other things. So I get it. And that's another, like, vice in a way. Right? Yeah. Like, not all vices are drinking and drugs. Like, sometimes your vice is people and attention.
Right.
And
so true. Yep. Do you do any of the, like, fad diets? Because I consider 75 hard a fad diet.
Totally.
That's basically what it is.
Okay, yeah. I think you pick a diet too, right?
Yeah. Okay. Like, what is it called? When it's all meat or like no carb. That's keto? Paleo.
Maybe keto too, though.
Yeah.
So I don't follow... Here, I'll say this. I am pescatarian. I used to be vegetarian.
Okay.
I used to be vegan. my actual rule for my diet is I eat clean every day and I cheat once a day. Like, and honestly, sometimes I cheat more than once a day. Let's be real.
Like a dessert or something? Or?
Totally.
Okay.
Like, freaking 2 or 3.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw me. I had like 5 macaroons the other day. Like, you know what I'm saying?
That's
like,
me.
Yeah.
Like, I will not give up one sweet a day at least. Minimum.
Yeah.
Like,
and I really just think, like, if I can live my life majority healthy, my body is a machine. If I treat it like the input and the output is mostly of health, then the rest of it's just gonna go right through, you know?
Yeah,
like,
exactly. That's how I treat it.
Yeah, your body's a machine.
Yeah.
So your input is your output. You actually are what you eat. Your cells are made up of whatever you're putting in your body. So if you can eat mostly clean and then live life also and not feel so restricted, I think that's the best way to go. Like, take care of your gut.
Yeah, that's so important.
Dude, if you're
I'm learning more about that recently.
Yeah, if you're having problems like with your diet or like training, weight loss, health in general, like you need to take care of your gut. Your gut's probably blocked. If you're not losing weight, your gut's blocked. Like you have gut issues, straight up. If you're, and this is like so TMI, but if you're not going to the bathroom like regularly, like these things, like that is diet influence, that is gut influence. You need to check that out. So yeah, if I
gut. So, and I've been doing a little bit more research into it, but it affects everything. It affects how you produce testosterone, estrogen, how your emotions are regulated. Like there's so much stuff to it.
Yeah.
And I used to compete. My little trophies over there. So I used to be a fitness competitor, and oh
my gosh, you were.
Yeah, I was a bikini competitor.
Really?
Yeah. And so I did do fad diets. I did do 12 weeks of all about it.
Whoa.
And I fucking hated it. Like it was so like I did it, right? Just to prove to myself that I could.
Yeah.
But the after effects were fucked up. Like my gut was not good. I was probably having diarrhea for like 3 months straight. I probably should have went to the doctor.
Oh no! Yeah,
like, probably should have.
Your gut's like
but it's fixed up now. I mean, now that I'm eating more whole foods and stuff, but nobody teaches you, what to actually eat when you're trying to lose, weight or trying to cut up.
Right.
All I did was follow up my. They give you like a macro account. And that's all I did.
Dang. See,
but not whole foods.
That's the problem with the industry too, is like I actually don't count calories. I've never counted calories.
Yeah.
And like part
of
that,
a mental fuckery.
Maybe it's like genetics or something, but that same way I said I'm never dealing with pain using vices. Like I am never counting calories. I'm never counting I'm never doing that to myself because once you get into that, it's really hard to get out of it. And that's why so many people, especially in America, have like eating disorders, like men and women, because everyone's saying, well, to get to this number you have to use these numbers to be this and then you'll be happy. And it's just like it's all messed up when calories, like people should be taught like intuitive eating, to be honest. Like,
intuitive eating, or even just hand signs. I know what is it, like you can eat like a fistful of carbs, like a hand, like a palm size of meat. I can't remember. You guys, I'll pull it up or something. Yeah. But there's even that is helpful just as a guideline.
Yeah.
But and also don't eat your emotions, like because I definitely
it's hard.
I don't know. Actually, I'm not an emotional eater. I don't eat actually when I'm too emotional. I'll just fucking cry and eat my boogers instead. Which is a healthy diet. But I don't know. It's the calorie counting, I get it, but also,
well, like I always say to people, like, because people always ask me about diet, and I think it's because I usually look pretty fit, like, all the time, and that's just because I am majority healthy. I'm very health conscious, and I don't think being healthy needs to be, like, expensive either. Like, if you eat a bag of broccoli and potatoes every day, I can pretty much guarantee, unless you have an allergy, you're not gonna gain a lot of weight or any weight. If anything, you might just maintain a shape or whatever size that you like. And if you're working out, it's just like, what are you putting? If you're eating a bag of Doritos versus a bag of broccoli, like this whole like carbs are bad for you is not real.
Oh
like,
gosh, no.
You know, so like even
our carbs, we need it. It's energy.
Yeah.
Our body converts that to energy much easier.
Yeah.
I mean, we could trick our body into using energy from like our fat sources and stuff too, but why? You know, our body is designed for a specific reason, and it's to operate on whatever level that you're trying to operate on. But still, it's like our body knows when something's good or when it's not so good.
And like I would just say, like, rule of thumb, stay away from processed stuff. Like, stop eating fast food.
I stopped doing that.
Yeah, you can honestly, like, every once in a while, like, I will slide to Taco Bell and get a freaking
Mine's
like
in and out
vegan
every once in a
you know
while.
what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
live a little. Like, I'm not gonna tell people like you gotta be perfect.
Yeah.
Like, you don't. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But eat majority well for your body. I want you to look at food, and when you look at food, you think, is this nourishing? Yes or no? If it's nourishing, put it in your body. If it's not, leave it.
Yeah.
Like, rule of thumb, don't get on the calorie tracker. Like, you can count macros if you want. I think for people who are overweight right now and they're looking to scale back and get into more health, like, yeah, maybe you might at the beginning have to do some either major life switches or count calories or whatever, but I almost think, like, maybe not really. Just change what you're eating. Like, when you look at food, how does it make you feel?
Yeah, and don't eat till you're actually, like, full and, like, uncomfortable. I can't tell you how many times I do that, though. I still do that. Yeah. Like, sometimes, especially if I'm eating out, I'll keep eating until I feel uncomfortable. And I'm like, that's obviously an indicator that I should probably stop.
I actually think, so is what I'll tell you, I actually think that has to do with an emotional thing.
Oh, like eating until you're full. Like, uncomfortably full.
Yeah, I think it's emotionally tied.
Is it like a negative emotion, you think? Or
I would say it has to do with like a safety thing. Like I would say like
like a survival thing. Like maybe I don't know when I'm gonna eat again.
Yeah, right. Like maybe it's a survival thing. Or maybe that is like your comfort, right? Like feeling full is your normal. So I don't know. I
definitely have an emotional attachment to my food.
Yeah, see,
on
like,
some degree.
Yeah, and a lot of people do. Like that's more normal than not, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
And like men and women. Like, definitely. I've seen it actually a lot in men, to be honest. Like, men are emotional eaters. And I have a whole different thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Dylan's not an emotional... I don't know, actually. I've never seen him super... No.
Yeah. I mean, not all people are. But definitely, like, I've seen it a lot. And they don't realize it either. But I'm like, oh, man, that's coming from pain.
Yeah.
So I'm just, like, it's just having that, like, awareness. Like, I know what's going on, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
But, yeah.
It's so interesting, all these diets and things that are happening in the world. But back to like habits and stuff. I mean,
I know,
eating.
75 hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's all
guys.
related, right?
Yeah.
Because 75 hard really is. They do put more of a focus on losing weight, but it's still, I think the goal of it that I know of is supposed to be to develop healthier habits.
Totally. And like, that's what I'm saying. I think it's a good, like
a fucking, what is it called when you you actually like...
Yeah, you jumpstart.
Yeah, you're literally jumpstarting.
That's totally what it is, right?
Yeah.
Good jumpstart.
Yeah.
I would never, because I think I've built really long-lasting, consistent, sustainable habits.
Yes.
That
that's what I believe in more.
Right. Like, build up your default habits. You won't have to do 75 hard.
Yeah.
Like, change your habits that you go back to every day. Like, what is your normal? Like, is your normal, like, eating a bunch of crap? Is your normal not exercising? Is your normal like not being out in the sun? Like, what's your normal? Fix your normal. You'll never have to do 75 hard.
It's so true.
A day in your life.
So fucking true.
Yeah.
Makes me think of too how we default into our habits of emotions as well. Yeah. And that's like the whole triggering thing.
Yeah.
That's crazy because I never noticed it until I started becoming more aware of my emotions and like really recognizing that this is my default. Like before, I'll just give you an example, is when like, you know, when I'm dating somebody, I used to get really high anxiety whenever he would go out with the boys or something. And just, you know, my dad was a cheater and still fucking cheating to this day. He's like 65 years old. Jeez, but I'm like, what are you doing, dude? You're old. But yeah, so that trigger of mine is such a thing that happens. And my default is to almost like a vindictiveness to get back. Like, oh, he's going to go out, then I'm going to go out and like do all this. So that was my default for a long time. But it wasn't until I recognized it and then did the hard thing, which is not going out, fucking sitting with my feelings and sitting there crying and dealing with it. It was not easy. Right. But it did kind of it like threw me in the other direction of fixing that bad habit. Right. Which has been, it's still, you know, doesn't happen all the time. Like I still get triggered or I don't know, we're calling it activated now. Yeah. It's just such a more, it's a good,
I like that better actually.
Yeah, because trigger has such a negative connotation. Yes. Yeah. So Dylan and I came up with the new word. Well, I think Dylan did. But you call it activated now.
Oh,
because
I love it.
Yeah, because it's an indicator that it's something that either needs to be healed or, most likely it's just something that needs to be healed.
Wow.
Yeah. So now every time something bothers us, we're like, oh, I think I'm getting activated right now. Like, let me sit with that and figure out how I feel about this.
That's awesome. So, yeah. That's cool that you guys actually can communicate like that too.
Yeah, yeah. The conversation is so
Do a workshop. Invite everybody in the city. We'll start there. Like, jeez.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, man. We want to share a lot about how our conversations go because we do talk about a lot of stuff. And I think as a couple, we've really... we've integrated and communicated so well with each other. We want to teach people how to do the same.
Oh, please.
But eventually,
do it.
We're still working through some things.
Oh God, the world needs it.
Yeah.
The world needs it. No one teaches us how to relate to one another.
No, I know. And it's getting worse.
Yeah, it is.
Like, we don't know how to talk to social media. We're just overstimulated.
Yeah.
Who was I listening to? It probably was Joe Rogan. I've been listening to him like crazy. He's like my favorite. Heck yeah. But yeah, the guy was talking about evolution of mating and how it's all fucked up now because of social media, overstimulation.
Oh yeah.
What is it? Decision paralysis.
Yep.
And all sorts of shit. And I'm like, there's a lot to dive into there. I don't even know where to take that direction because it's a lot.
Totally. And it's like, you can't even find out I don't want to even say you can't. Actually, you can. You can find a conscious partner. They are far few in between.
Yeah.
Finding someone who's very self-aware and is willing to kind of take their issues head on and also be with you and work through your guys' issues as a couple. It's hard to find people with that mental bandwidth, but it's out there. There are so many good people in this world.
Yeah.
It's so out there. You found out.
Yeah, yeah.
Look at you guys.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's out there.
Yeah.
It's just
hard.
Yeah, everything's messed up right now.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary. And people are asleep to that, I think. A lot of people aren't realizing, how messed up it is, and they're avidly playing in that matrix.
Well, nobody's taking responsibility for their own shit. That's the problem. Is we're so quick to point the finger at other people of not showing up in a certain area, but are you showing up the way that you think that you are?
Right.
There's so many times I see that, and I hate to say it, even friends of mine where they're in the dating scene, they're like, well, he doesn't do this and that, but you're also not showing up a person that I would want to commit to if I was a guy.
Yeah.
I'm you're kind of out there fucking doing hoe shit.
Yeah, totally.
So if I was a guy, I wouldn't want a hoe girlfriend. That's just me personally.
Yeah, exactly. But, oh my God, I could talk about that for hours. Just
my gosh.
That power dynamic that we're struggling with a lot, which is the masculinization of women and kind of the Cardi B era and everything.
It's the Cardi
and
B
feminism.
I like how everybody references Cardi B as the era of which women are being super promiscuous. The downfall of the female.
Yeah, which it was fun at first, and then we're all like, oh man, men hate this. Good men hate this, and for good reason. Yeah, you know what I mean, for good reason.
And it's so not crazy working. Because when we say things like, oh, men don't like this, so we want to stop doing it. Yeah, women get offended by that. They're like, oh, so all you do is live for a man. I'm like, no, but to continue the human species, we care. But
it's
love
totally
is
just everyone's walking around with their pain.
Yeah,
no one's dealing with their pain, and so everyone's like, well, I'm just gonna, be really angry at men, right? Or I'm gonna be really angry at women doing what they want, or I'm gonna be. Everyone's just dealing with their pain, and also. On the spectrum of social media, everyone has a lofty opinion about everything now. And
so true.
Yeah,
and we all have access to creating podcasts and videos, so we very might well be those people who are sharing the opinion, but
I see people just who are totally polar energy in an opposite way. I'm like, damn, they're just dealing with their pain the best way they can. Yeah. And the best way they can is, maybe being a feminist, or maybe being disgruntled by the male population, right? Yeah. Or I don't know.
Or defaulting back to bad habits.
Or defaulting back to totally. Yeah, let's bring it back.
Yeah. I know. I'll go off on tangents. I'm like, yeah.
No, me too. I know, but I just feel like you get it.
That's
what's
for sure.
going on. yeah, everyone's just in freaking pain. No one knows how to deal with it. And so we're making all these choices based off of our pain.
Yep.
Right? So unless you fix it, then you're just going to be living under the roof of your old experiences.
And then you never actually develop your own persona.
Yeah.
I feel like we're over consuming everything online. We follow everybody's, structures and ways to success, but we don't actually develop our own narratives. Like, we're not creating it because we're just
1,000%.
consuming.
Yeah, 1,000%. And I think, like, at the time when I was not, like, fully dealing with all the things that had happened to me from my childhood, and I'll just actually, like, go into that so people have some context. So I was the product of a serious child custody battle. So, yeah, and a lot of people don't know this because I have two parents. Like, I have a mom and a dad who is not biological to me, but raised me since 9 months old, right? So walking around, everyone's like, oh, that's your mom and your dad. Like, you look just like them, right? But it's like, so my actual bio dad was a very violent, very dangerous person.
Oh, wow.
And my mom actually had to escape. So, like, when I was born, it was a few months afterwards where she's like, I've got to get out of here. And they were living in California at the time, so I'm born in California. I would say I'm born and raised here, but I'm not actually born here. So raised here mostly. But yeah, she had to escape a very, very violent first marriage. Yeah. And the product of that is the legal system, right? They're like, well, half of you belongs to him, which is me, right?
Did he have a record of his violence that could help the case, make it a little easier?
It came out that he was very, very violent towards, like, a lot of women. Like, a lot of women started coming forth. Like, this dude's a total psychopath.
Wow.
But my mom was, like, very, I would say, like, almost in her feminine and almost naive, right, to what was going on until it was too late. And, yeah, so growing up, I had to go back and forth in the legal system between my mom and her getting remarried to my dad, who's amazing, the dad who raised me, like, having that structure with them, and then having to do court-ordered visitations with my dad, who is totally crazy, like my bio dad, who is like totally crazy.
So you actually were on a schedule to spend time with him
every other weekend for 12 years.
For 12 years.
Yeah.
Do you see him anymore now?
No, thank God. So 18 is the cutoff date, right? Like 18, you're an adult.
You can choose.
Your life is yours, right?
Got it.
But yeah, I would say up until 12, I had to go see him. I was very lucky because I had monitors and, like, a lot of people watching me because of what had happened with my mom. And my mom was like, no way in hell is she going to go over there without being watched.
Did legally. He get charged for doing something to your mom? Or?
I think like, it's so crazy because I think, like, I've definitely written this part of my life off a little bit, which is why I don't talk about it a lot. Yeah. But definitely charged in the end. Did not, I don't think, go to jail. He definitely didn't go to jail, but wasn't allowed to see me after a while. So around, like, 15, he stopped contacting me and stuff. But yeah, it took a really long time. From all of that, like, I went through so many therapists and stuff. I was in therapy from, like, age of 4 onward. So
oh wow,
yeah, and
but I bet that helped with your development and everything as well.
Yeah. So it was good, and then it was also bad. I had to see different sets of therapists from the different sides, right? So it's like my bio dad's recommending these psychologists, my mom's recommending these psychologists. So I was in, like, a social experiment practically, like, for a really long time. Yeah. And this is going back to, like, developing your own persona, right? So dealing with that, kind of feeling like your life's not yours, right? So I'm just kind of being tossed back and forth. I definitely developed, like, kind of a hyper awareness of I am playing chess with adults and I'm having to act a certain way around everybody to make sure that I'm safe, and I don't have to start doing overnights with my bio dad, and I just have to see him during the day, and that's it. So the court was always looking for evidence to show, hey, this child is happy with her totally psycho dad, and we're gonna record it. Like, we're gonna cam record her, we're gonna send her to a bunch of psychologists and, like, kind
because
of
he was
play a
fighting for
game.
custody.
Right, he's fighting for custody.
Gosh.
So they were doing all this gameplay with me. And so I started developing a lot of anxiety and kind of a hyper awareness, hyper vigilance about people's emotions and things. So it affected my personality. And I felt like I have to be perfect. Like, I have to be perfect to survive.
So do you think that's where all of your organization and structure kind of fell into play?
Oh, yeah. And also definitely battled perfectionism, like, to its core. Like, very, very, very hard on myself. And I was really hard on a lot of people, too.
Yeah.
And so part of my healing was like, hey, that doesn't belong to you. Like, your trauma is just not all of you. And when you stay stuck in your experiences that you had, like, from your childhood, from your teenage years, your adulthood, like, your young adulthood, like, yeah, it does become a part of your personality. And, like, maybe it's not a part of your personality that you really want to claim. Like, it's not yours. It's okay to let it go. So I had to let a lot of things go. Like, hey, yeah, that happened to you. And I had a total, like, victimhood complex because you have that when things are, like, done on to you, right? You're like, I'm the victim. And, you know, really just looking at yourself in the mirror, especially when you're an adult and you're like, another Mel Robbins saying, like, no one's coming. Like, no one's coming to save you. Like, you're an adult now. So you can be angry, you can be a perfectionist, you can be miserable, but, like, that's your choice now to be like that. And I like to think, like, things could have been better, but things could have been worse. Yeah. So, like, looking at my life, like, hey, I actually survived that. I had the tools to survive that. I had the support system to survive that. Like, get over it. Like, now it's time. You have to move on. Like, you can't just take that with you for your whole life. Yeah. Because then you're just not living. You're just existing. Yeah.
And you're surviving.
Yeah, and you're surviving, right? And, like, having that acknowledgement, like, and it's crazy, like, YouTube University, like, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, like, the internet definitely taught me that I was surviving. And it was, like, kind of having the realization, like, okay, maybe that's not normal. Maybe, like, me feeling like that is, or maybe it's, you know, I don't want to say normal, because I feel like, what is normal, right? But
yeah, we don't even know.
Yeah, it's like, what even is that word, honestly? But it's like, that's, you know, you could have a better way of living, right? Like, maybe that shouldn't be your baseline for how you're living. You could actually have a better life. So my persona was, for a long time, like, seeking that outside validation, like, seeking that perfectionism, and, like, having my achievements in my work, in my school, like, that's all that mattered to me. It's all I had control over.
Yeah. They say when you're fighting so hard for control, it's because you've lost it. Like, you don't have it. Even though control is really an illusion. Yeah. But you can control what goes on in your brain and like how you perceive the world.
Right. Yeah. And I think, like, when you're a kid, it's like,
there's just so much emotions.
It's so crazy. Yeah. Right. It's like, no one's teaching children how to do that. Like, luckily my mom, like, really took responsibility and was like, my kid's going to therapy, like, I'm getting my kid a mentor, like, all this, but it's like, not everyone even has that. And I even realized that, and I still had problems, and, like, I had that help. Yeah. So I'm just like, what the hell is everyone else doing? Like, is everyone okay?
Yeah. Like, are we okay?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, seriously.
Usually not until we're like adults and actually start going out of our way to learn about how to categorize our feelings and our emotions. Yeah. Because when you're a kid and you're experiencing like 5 different emotions, you're happy, but then still sad, and you're hungry, and there's like a whole bunch of other things. Yeah. You don't know how to like organize those thoughts. All it just feels is like chaotic. And so you respond chaotically. Totally. But it's hard. Right. And like, when you have trauma, like you know, rarely learn early on how to regulate your emotions. It's like, I think our generation, especially of parents, like when we all become parents, I think a lot of us are going to be more conscious about helping our kids to regulate our emotions, because like our parents didn't do that. Yeah, that's definitely not. Our parents were just surviving their parents, which were, you know, the baby boomer generation, and they were like, we don't parent. Yeah, we don't parent. You guys figure it out. Yeah, y'all can be latchkey kids and just come home when you feel like it. Like that was. Yeah, like, so baby boomers didn't parent, and so then our parents didn't parent, and the parents that parented just did the best that they could. Yeah. And that's really, like, my parents, I'm like, Tim, like, you guys, with all the chaos, like, you guys really did the best that you could. And, like, for my dad who raised me, like, I think about this as an adult now, to step into something that crazy, like, I think about, like, 30-year-olds now, I'm like, like, would you step into just hot fire like that with someone else's battle? Yeah. To raise someone else's kid, it's like, damn, that's a commitment. Yeah, that's like, love. Yeah, like that's love. Yeah.
Like, it wasn't fun. It was terrible for a long time. So chaotic. So I'm like, wow. It really puts, I think, my perspective on relationships. Like, that is crazy that he did that. Like,
well, the bar is high because,
Yeah.
I mean, the love really is just a decision.
Oh, man, that's so good.
Yeah. Because I feel like so many times we just, well, I mean, Hallmark, everything that we see on these like rom-coms and stuff, they teach us that love is just an emotional thing and that's just how we respond to things. But true love is a decision, like your dad deciding to take care of you, even though you're not
like
his
biological his kid.
Yeah.
Right?
But that's love.
It's nuts. Like when I think about that, I'm like, how many men, you know, how many women too, but like how many men?
Yeah.
I'm like, that is just intense. And like, he's an attorney, so it like just helped us fight that legal battle. It's like,
oh, that's
you know what
so
I mean?
good. That's cool.
I'm like, this is nuts. Like when I think about it, right? But yeah, and you know, just for kids having that battle, I'm like, how do we help them?
Yeah.
Too. Like, you know, and like kids who have trauma, how do we help kids like not become totally like messed up adults? Because no one's helping them regulate their emotions. A lot of kids don't have access to therapy, and like a lot of people aren't being protected at that age in that system too. I've always thought about that. I'm like, dang, like I got away pretty unscathed, like definitely scathed, but like not as badly as I could have been. A lot of eyes were on me at all times. So yeah,
I think that like in order to help him, again bringing us back full circle, is probably developing good habits. Like teaching them, you know, the habits that bring them that confidence so that they can navigate life easier.
Totally.
Because for me, I think a lot of the bad decisions that I've done in life in teenage years and stuff is through lack of self-confidence. Because, you know, when you feel shame about something, you hide it. So then you develop those habits that you hide behind doors.
Big time. Like filters on filters, right?
Yeah.
So,
did the thing just die?
Oh no, did it?
It's fucking plugged in. Are you kidding me? When you get a compliment from
men versus women.
Yeah.
You're like, well, he's probably saying that to manipulate me, and she's probably saying that because she actually likes me.
Yeah. So I'm like, when a woman compliments me, I'm like, oh my gosh, I must actually look beautiful today. Like, I don't know. Yeah. But that's just, I'm still kind of conflicted on how I stand with fitness and how I show up online with that. Because like, I don't know. Oh, okay.
Oh yeah,
since we're going back into it. Sorry guys, we cut off a little bit.
It died.
But since it died. Yeah, technical difficulties.
Yeah, the tech guy, that tech person.
Yeah, can you fix that?
Yeah, can you
you person who's eventually gonna be helping me manage this stuff. Well, I feel like this actually our side conversation ended up bringing us back to habits and developing those. I feel like the fitness industry, fitness is, for me, has been the entryway into developing good habits, confidence, like health, everything. The self-help era all started for me for fitness, like
totally.
Fitness.
That's a great the self-help era. That's what it was.
That's pretty much what it is. But yeah, I mean, I feel like fitness for me has been my entryway into it, but I'm so conflicted on how that is for other people. Like, I know it worked for me as an entryway to start working on better habits, but like, how does that adjust for people who don't see that as an entryway? I don't know.
Like for starters, you think? Like,
because I think I feel like majority of my listeners and my viewers are people who, you know, they're learning. The self-help journey is like, it's still new. They've probably cracked open maybe 1 or 2 books that kind of guide you into it, but a lot of it can still feel like woo-woo. You know?
I think fitness can totally be a good outlet, but what I would say is find something that you like or that you are good at or you want to be good at. Get really good at it, and like that's your confidence point right there. So okay, if it's art, go for it. You know, if it's I don't know, like writing emails, go for it. If it's lifting, awesome. But like how you build your confidence, like the gym is definitely like a pillar for most people. And it was for me too. Like for sure, a lot of my confidence was like in athletics, right?
Because you feel capable.
Right.
Like,
right.
how cool is it that you can lift something the same weight as your body weight? Like,
yeah. And I think, like, also, if you have a masculine archetype in you, like, you're on fire. Like, that is such a good outlet for you as a kid, you know? And, like, a teen and an adult. Like, that's a good outlet for you to, like, get that out, right?
Yeah.
And turn it into something good.
Yeah.
Right? Like, but if that's not your outlet, pick an outlet where you're like, I can be so confident in this. Like, I feel the best when I'm doing this. Or pick something you want to be good at. And I've always said that, too, for, like, college and life. Like, you either pick something you're good at or you pick something you want to be good at and go for it. You know? So
I'm so conflicted about, like, people who are naturally good at stuff and then people who are, like, just have learned.
Yeah.
Right? Because they say, like, talent over, you know, hard work, but then eventually if the talent doesn't work as hard as the hard worker, then you're going to be outrun. But I don't know.
For me, there's times in my life where I've definitely been talented at something and it totally doesn't get you to the end always, but my hard work has always gotten me to the end.
Yeah. And I think that, again, ties back to all the habit forming stuff because you can choose your habits. You can choose the things that you want to do over time. And the whole, the fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
People say that. And they're like, when you do something that's out of the ordinary or out of your character, people are like, oh, are you just like faking it or you're fake? You're not really being you. But it's like, I'm trying to become a better version of me. So is it fake it till you make it? Or am I just progressing towards a better me? I don't know.
Yeah. And I used to say that actually. I used to say like, oh, fake it till you make it. And then I realized like, you're not faking it. You're actually just transforming your reality. So, and that takes steps outside of who you are. Sometimes. So you're not really faking it, but that saying is good because you have to embody before you transform.
Oh, that's so true.
Yeah. So it's like you feel like you're faking it, but actually like you're just learning how to embody a new part of yourself. And like it's not fake, it's real.
Yeah.
But then also getting yourself into that mind frame where you're like, I am taking steps to transform my life and it seems fake right now. But it's just the process, and that process is going to lead me to an entirely new reality. Yeah, and it seems fake, but it's not.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I think that's such a beautiful thing that we can transform ourselves at any given moment. Really, like if you want to, you know, you dream about hanging out with the people who are wealthy, and you're a girly who goes and gets brunch on every Sunday with the girls. Like you can make that your reality. You just have to it might be uncomfortable while you seek it though. Like for me, I guess I'm referring more back to the, like, you know, being more of a woman's woman and having girlfriends and stuff. Yeah. That's not something that I grew up with. I grew up with a lot of bullies and I isolated a lot. And so now I'm trying to develop a better habit of being in communication with women consistently and developing deeper connections, but it is uncomfortable. But again, that's another habit that I am trying to implement in my daily life. So I set an intention. It's in my calendar. I'm like, okay, reach out to blah, 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 you know, touch 3 people today. And then that's
good.
Yeah. It's a small start.
Totally.
But since I've started implementing that and been really, really intentional with it,
cool.
Like life has been, it's been transforming in the way that I want it to because you're molding it.
Yeah, totally. Like you have to change what's inside of you for things to change around you. And that's like, if I could show you 3 different photos of me from like the past 3 years, you wouldn't even recognize me.
Really? Do you look that different?
I look different because my energy is totally different.
Yeah.
It's like crazy.
People say, I mean, so I look back at my old photos and like for me, I feel like I look kind of the same, but Dylan says my energy is very different.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. I want to look at the pictures that he sees and what he reads from that energy.
I'm sure they're totally different, right? Because you're doing all this like spiritual work on yourself, like rehab, like heart surgery on yourself, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm sure, like, especially because like that's your partner. He's probably like, oh my God, like.
So
transform transforming in front of him, like he sees it, you know. So that's good.
It's so cool to watch people transform and that we can do that. Like we're so capable.
We're so capable.
It's so crazy,
right? it's like your limitations are as far as you will go. Your limitations, not the limitations people put onto you. Yeah. Only if you believe them. Yeah. Right? So, yeah, just anything, like, if it's been done before, you can do it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, you really set your own standard for your life.
So good. What are some, like, healthy or habits that you have implemented more recently? I think that was the end of the question. Yeah. I thought I wanted to go more with that, but yeah. I was like, I think that's where it ends.
You're like, no, that sounds good. Yeah, right, I know. That
sounds good. I think I'm going to stop.
Yeah. Healthy habits I've been implementing more recently. I would say it has to do with my femininity. Truly, like, cultivating my own femininity in my life has been the goal of, like, the last 2 years, truly.
How are you doing that? Is there specific ways in which you're doing it?
Oh, yeah, there is. Like,
I call it estrogen producing activities.
Yeah.
EPAs, guys.
Yeah. That's so good. Yeah, no, it's true, because I think majority of the reason why I burnt out so much is I was just operating my hypermasculinity for so dang long, and, like, getting out of survival mode and just learning how to rest and be, like, softer, and it makes your relationships just so much better too. Like, that dynamic, it's So over time, I have had to learn how to slow down.
It's harder than you think.
Yeah, it's really hard when you're in, like, overdrive, and then
we're in a society that's like fucking 75 hard, and, like, you guys got to keep going, and it's like it's a hustle culture.
Yeah, right.
So slowing down is seen as weak.
I was a big hustle culture girl. So
same.
Yep, right. So I try to do, like, more yoga or, like, more Pilates or things that are, like, more low key. I've actually started tracking my cycle a lot too.
Me too. Okay.
I'm like, does this matter? And I'm like, well, it is science. So
it freaking does.
Yeah, like, tracking those phases and seeing, like, like, men run on a 24-hour hormone cycle. We don't. And even though I thought I could, I'm like, oh, I can run with the men. Like, no, you can't.
No, you can't.
No,
we
you
biologically cannot.
Yeah, like, no, you can't. You bleed once a month. You are not allowed.
Yep.
Yeah, like, so tracking those cycles and trying to figure out, like, where's my energy lower, where's my energy higher, like, really intuitively listening to myself, where, like, I have this really interesting habit of just blocking out my intuition. Like, I have a really heightened intuition, so when I need to get things done, I block it out, and I will block it out. I'm like, and that's what men do. Men block out their emotions and their intuition to get ish done.
They compartmentalize.
And so I've taught myself that as, like, a skill. Definitely a survival skill, but learning how to tune into my intuition, like, how am I actually feeling? Like, do I want to go to the gym 6 days a week, like, every week? Like, am I sure I'm, like, listening to my body? Is that for you, or is that for me, or is that for, like, this idea of me that's supposed to be, like, this perfect person? Right? So learning how to tune in more to my cycle, spending time with women, and, like, just, like you were saying, like, I've always had the best girlfriends, so I haven't had, like, a problem making, like, girlfriends or anything, but just, like, spending time around women who just love being women. Like, there are so many women out there who are just like, I am just so feminine and free and flowing.
I love it,
Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, being around those girls who are like that, like, that has also changed my life. Because just
was there a part of you that was ever uncomfortable with that? Just out of curiosity.
I think I was uncomfortable with myself being like that. I don't think I was uncomfortable with other people being like that.
I was. Okay. For a little bit. Because when women were, like, too feminine, it made me...
You're like, is that fake?
Either that or I saw it as weak, which is so totally. Not true. Yes. Yeah.
I can totally agree with that.
Yeah.
For me, and I don't think I was looking more at other people, but more at myself. I'm like, if I'm feminine, I'm weak.
Yeah.
Like, and that really was like, if I'm feminine, like, I am not being protective of me, right? And that was just, I definitely struggled with that, like, being guarded for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, being around, like, feminine women, they teach you how to live. They teach you how to live
and receive.
Yeah.
Receiving is hard. Receiving is so hard.
Receiving is hard.
But that's, like, that's one of the things that stimulates more estrogen.
Right.
Or femininity.
Right. And so, like, learning how to just, like, lean back. And also, like, now a big thing is, like, I love when men make decisions. I think maybe in my teenage years, I was like, oh my God, men can't make good decisions. Like, you have this, like, weird hang up, you know? Yeah. And it's like, no. Men are made to make decisions. Like, let them make decisions, you know?
Yeah. So empowered men can lead well.
Yeah, right.
But non-empowered men are definitely, that's when we kick into survival mode.
Yeah.
You're like, if you're not going to do it right, I'll do it right.
Yeah, exactly. And like definitely staying away from people who trigger that in me.
Yeah.
Like, or activate that in me.
Yes.
I'm like, oh no, we are not in alignment. Like, we
Yeah.
are not a match.
Yeah.
You know, just kind of being really heightened in that.
Yeah.
Trying to think of other good habits. So yeah, I would say like just really cultivating my femininity has been like my number one most priority, because it's a ripple effect. Like, it's changed my whole life. It's changed everything about me.
Yep.
And it's like really brought me into like more of a place of peace than like pressure.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely those are the habits that I think are most important to me right now. And I think it's because I got all the preliminary stuff down, and which is, you know, there's different levels to habits, right? Like some people have like no, like all of their habits are kind of screwed up, right? So they're starting at like, okay, eating, drinking, like sleeping. Like, you need to focus on like the low tier items.
Basics,
like the basics, right? It's like once you get those down pat, you can start going into like other things and having those just be your prime focus. Because like for me to say that, I'm like, oh man, I've done a lot of work. Because my old habits used to be like, you know, not have anxiety attacks, like not have panic attacks. Like that would have been my priority like 3 years ago, is like, how do I stop my panic attacks? You know?
Yeah.
You know, but like when you start healing like levels of you, then really, really micro, like smaller things become more of a primary
focus.
Focus.
Because now you're like fine-tuning the vehicle versus
right?
like doing a complete reset.
Right? I'm like putting the paint on the car versus like all the wheels are off, like we have to get it towed. There's no gas in the car.
We forgot the engine, guys.
Yeah, the engine's like not even in the car. Now I'm like, oh, like what color do I want my tint to be? Like on my car. Like,
you're customizing it.
Yeah,
now.
like that's where I'm at now. I'm like, we're gonna custom made her, and like we're gonna put a cute little sticker on the back. You know,
I love that.
Yeah, like it's like, what level are you at? And also just like appreciate all your levels. It's totally fine.
Yeah.
If you're like, this is day one, like congrats.
Yeah, my main habit is to stop drinking. That's a good habit to start, honestly.
Yeah. Oh
like,
my god. Yeah, let's talk about your habits too. Like what are habits that you're implementing right now?
So for me, simplifying. That's definitely a big one, because I have overcomplicated my life and because I'm a huge creative. Right?
Totally.
Like,
you are, for sure.
I flow with that shit. But with that comes chaos and not being able to organize, right?
Yeah.
So
that's like the problem of the visionary, right?
Yes, that is it's like the caveat.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. But so now I've learned to put it all on ClickUp. Again, ClickUp, what's up? But and simplified my process of, okay, this is an idea, let's run with that. And to not try to juggle too many damn things at once. That's my problem too, is I'll be doing like 5 different things all at once, but then everything's barely moving the needle towards progress. Versus if I did this one task and completed it to its full extent, then I can go to the next one. Then I can actually complete that. So my problem is that I was juggling too much. So simplifying.
Yeah, totally.
Femininity, embracing that. That's been another habit that I've tried to implement, and it's going a lot easier. I feel like it's a lot easier for me right now because I do have a partner that allows me to rest with that. Whereas if it was just me, I don't think I'd actually be trying to achieve that.
Yes. And even just to like tangent on that for a second, what I realized through dating is like there have been men that set me in my feminine, and that's actually how I really learned it existed, was, to be honest, like someone set me in my feminine energy and I was like, ooh, I like it here. Yeah.
I feel like that's the only way you can get introduced when you're a hyper masculine woman or more adept to masculinity as a woman.
Yeah.
Like, I would have never explored femininity if it weren't for a man who could allow me to rest.
Right.
Like,
exactly. Right. And like, that's what happened. And then when me and that person broke up, I was like, I started feeling that masculinity like creep back in, and I was like, oh my god, it's back. Like, I was devastated, and I was like, no, this is a lesson. Like, I have to cultivate my own feminine environment. Like, it's no one's responsibility to set me there.
Yeah.
Because like,
very
if
true.
it's like, if my femininity, my new life is dependent on some person setting me there, like, oh my God, like that's variable. That could change at any second.
Yeah.
You know, and
that's a lot of pressure to add to somebody else's plate.
Right. Totally.
It's no one's responsibility for your happiness. I used to do that a lot with my exes. Like, if I wasn't happy, it's like probably your fault. Yeah. It's like, what?
It's probably your fault.
It's probably your fault. Yeah. But it's like, that's you know, gotta take radical responsibility. It's like you can cultivate your femininity.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, it does require a different recipe as it for me, it's a different recipe for me.
Totally.
You know?
Right. I think we're both at that point now. It's like that's a pillar.
Yeah,
like,
it's a pillar.
Yeah, like I gotta have it.
Yeah. I think one thing I want to do before we end the podcast too is how do you, is there like a tool or something that you can use to not default into the bad habit? Like, and you know when you're defaulting back into your bad habit, but like, is there like a tool or something maybe? Because obviously you can't distract yourself with a distraction, or can you? Maybe with a positive distraction versus a negative one. I don't know. Yeah,
it's like truly like there's no like everyone always uses like habit trackers and apps and like this is the notebook that's gonna change your life, right? Like
that shit has never worked for me.
It doesn't work for anybody. Like nobody can really stick to this stuff unless that's like your thing and you're obsessed with it, right?
Yeah.
Like I like writing lists. Like I don't know anyone else who loves writing lists, you know? That's the way I like get things done. But I'm not gonna.
You just use a to-do list. Is that what you?
Yeah, but you know, I can't even prescribe like the list is gonna change your life. Like it probably won't. What's gonna change your life is like being accountable to your values. Like I'm telling you, if you're a big urges person and you're responding to those urges, like what are your values? Like can you center your life around these values?
Yeah.
And like how are you gonna do it? Like write out if you need to write, or maybe speak it. However you need to set that intention. There is no tool, trick, or like shortcut I can give to people. It's like you have to actually do this the long way. You want real results, like you have to really walk this process.
Yeah.
Write down your values, like figure out like what are the 5 things like I have to have in my life, even if you don't have it right now, or things that you do have that you're like I really want more of that, and how can I get there like tangibly? Like what are 3 things I have to do to get there, and like write the dates. Like I'm going to get this done by this date. It's all about executing. Like that is the tool. Do it.
Yeah.
The tool is like you have to battle your mind, and procrastination is an emotional thing. You have to look fear in the face and be like, this isn't real. Like train your subconscious mind, train your conscious mind to take those action steps when your subconscious is like, no, don't stay here.
Yeah.
So it's like it's so hard for me to say like this tool, right? Because it's really like I'm going to ask you to do the work. The tool is do the work.
Yeah.
Like, do the inner work. It's hard. It sucks. Like, punch while you cry. Fight for your life. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Do you think is it easier to have somebody to help you stay accountable?
You could definitely use accountability partners. Like, if you have somebody you can go to, or someone you can pay, or someone that you can find in a free Facebook group, or join a group. Like, money's not always the answer, you know, but money is helpful. If you can't pay somebody to help you, like, go look for help. A lot of successful people want to help you be successful. The best thing I ever did in life was ask questions. Yeah,
that's such an underrated thing to do. I feel like a lot of people don't ask questions. We all love to talk about ourselves, which is, you know, that's a human thing, but nobody takes the time to ask questions. And which is why I freaking love podcasts, because I get to ask a bunch of questions.
Cool. Right? It's so cool.
Like
ask people questions. I guess that could be a tool. Like if you don't know how, like ask, and you're not gonna get anything that you don't ask for. My favorite thing to tell people is like, okay, well, just put your foot in the door and see. Like, if they say no, like, the worst thing they could do is say no. That is the worst thing that can happen, is they're like, absolutely not. Okay, then you move on. Right?
Then what happens to your life after that? Not much. Like, you just move on with your life.
Like, the worst thing that can happen is no. The best thing I learned from door knocking, and I will definitely tie this into, like, a tool, but if you're afraid of yeses and nos mean the same thing. They're just directing you to where you need to be in a different way.
Ooh. So, I love that.
Yeah, like if you're afraid of rejection, and if you're like, I'm afraid to ask questions, like I'm freaking out, the worst they could say is no. And if they say no, like knock again. Like knock again. You know, okay, that person doesn't open, like that person doesn't open. That person says, get off my lawn. Like the next person says, like, I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah. And the satisfaction you get when it actually, when you hit.
Yeah, and you'll hit that right door, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, don't stop knocking. Like, it's statistics. Like, you're gonna hit a yes, and like, it's gonna be meant for you. And yeah, like, if you're looking for a tool, like, self-ownership and executing, take action on your life. Like, your life is yours.
Yep. So no one's coming to save you.
Yeah, Mel Robbins.
Back to Mel Robbins.
I gotta talk to you, girl. Like, I hear that playing in my head every day. Like, nobody's coming. And I start laughing, but I'm like, no, it's serious. Like,
yeah. It's like you just laugh, kind of like a nervous laugh to kind of make it less painful, but it's also like, no one's really coming.
Yeah, I'm like, that was a funny clip. Like, they really got her there, but nobody's coming. Like, this is serious. Like, take radical ownership of your life. Like,
yes, yeah. Just take radical ownership of your life. That's fucking good. Oh, God, so good. Okay. Yeah. I mean, is there any other parting words? Like, how do people find you if they want to reach out to you, connect with you?
Yeah, please connect with me. Honestly, like, that is my pride and joy. I think is like connecting with people and like helping people with real life stuff. Like, I love the business stuff, but my pride and joy is like helping people guide through their life, like walking people through things that I've been through.
Yeah.
Like, hit me up. Instagram, Stay Well Andie, and my business Instagram is Versatile Operations. So business stuff, I have your back, and life stuff, I have your back.
Cool. What is next for you? Is there anything in particular that?
I think expansion, expansion in my business, but also I want to have a lot of clients who are heart-centered. And right now I do have a lot of clients who are heart-centered.
Yeah.
So if you are looking for operations in your business and to improve that efficiency and do it with someone that is just going to help you in the nitty-gritty, like, I would love to have more of that.
Cool.
For sure.
Well, I will make sure I add all of her links and everything in the description so you guys can find her easily. Thank you for being on. This was a really good conversation.
Thank you for having me. I'm just like, who am I to even be talking sometimes?
You know? No, I love it. All right, guys, we will see you on the next episode of the Danna-Gift Show.